Hello there all my lovely jewelry makers, I'm Christina of CSLdesigns, and in today's video we have another dollar bead box unboxing here. So this thing is late because this took over a month to get to me. Now that's not the norm. I live in the UK and these dollar bead boxes come from America. Usually they ship at the beginning of the month and it takes about 1 to 2 weeks to get here normally. This time it took about a month and a bit, and I'm guessing it's because of everything that's going on. It was delayed in the shipping with the coronavirus and everything. So just to let you know, it normally doesn't take that long for anyone that lives in the UK and that's interested, but that's why it's late this time. So let's have a look here. I do also just want to mention that this is going to be the last unboxing that I do of the dollar bead box, because these videos take a long time for me to do because I make jewelry as well from the materials in the box, and I have a lot of other things that I am working on behind the scenes. So I've decided to stop with these, or at least be on a break with them for now, so kind of not do these at least for now. But that doesn't mean that I don't enjoy it and don't like it, because I very much have enjoyed this. So let's just start with the bag here, like usual. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I'm working on a lot of things behind the scenes, so kind of got to pick and choose a little bit of things that I spend time on. So this is one of the things I've had to cut out for now. But let's just have a look at this one then. So yeah, this is the May box and the bag. But obviously I didn't receive it till it was actually beginning of June. So this first of all looks quite summery. The colours, nice bright greens and things. But anyway, let's see for these strands. So this is the dollar bead bag. First of all, we have the 3mm strands. We have the beige luster. Guessing it's going to be this one. So a nice luster effect. Gives it an extra sheen and sparkle. We have that beige base color, kind of mixed with not just a pure beige, it's a bit mixed with different tones. Then we have opaque lime green. It's got to be this one here, the green that I was talking about. Very summery, I think, this kind of green. Very lovely, but obviously very bright as well. Got some lovely sparkle. And completely opaque. Then we have opaque robin's egg blue with blue zircon. It's got to be this one. That blue robin's egg description definitely fits it. And then it has, I'm guessing, that blue zircon finish where it's partly coated on the beads. Quite an unusual mix, this, that base color with that coating. Pretty nice, and actually it goes pretty nice just with the green itself. Very summery, like that. Then lastly, of the 3mm ones, we have raspberry copper. So here, this is something I'm pretty sure we've had in previous boxes or bags, with that raspberry base color of the beads. It's not completely opaque, it's got some clarity to it, but then it has kind of partly coating of a gentle copper. So again, not a completely opaque copper coating or partly, it's still kind of almost just a hint of it, which is quite nice and unusual. So that was the 3mm ones. Let's move to the 4mm strands. Opaque lime green. So that is the 4mm version of the other one. So you can see same green. I do like when you get the same bead but in different sizes, because you can use them together and achieve some different things than just using that same size. Then we have turquoise half bronze luster. It's got to be this one, that turquoise base color. And then half bronze luster. Definitely a fitting description. So they're sparkling themselves, but that part luster coating definitely adds even more sparkle to it. Then crystal half silver. So that means the base, the bead itself, is a crystal, so basically clear, and then it's partly coated. So half silver there, partly coated with a metallic very metallic silver. It makes it very sparkly. Catching that in the light, that's quite lovely, that. And it's not just them pure silver, but it just break it up with it being, you see some of the clear, some of the crystal for the bead, but then also that silver coating. It's quite a nice mix, that. And then finally, beige luster. Again, that is then the 4mm version of the 3mm one we had before. Nice that we're getting the same bead, the same colors here, in different sizes in the same box or the same bag, instead of having it separated out. So those were the strands in the dollar bead bag. So let's just move on straight onto the box. So get the tissue in and just release everything here. Ooh, this already looks a bit interesting. I'm going to try and not look too closely just yet. It looks like we have some new things here that we haven't had before. Always interesting when that happens. And then, of course, I'm just going to have the actual content list handy here. Now, I'm just going to pick out and just look at the strands first, and then we'll look at the additional items, just to kind of keep it a bit organized. So this is looking quite interesting. Let's have a bit of a closer look. And also because on the content list here, it is separated into the strands first, and then the additional items after. Right, so just starting straight from the top, we have some 6mm rounds, which I love that size, Czech glass pearls, and the color is Purple Velvet Rainbow Iris. So to me, that's got to be these ones here. The size fits as well. Now, straight away, I'm thinking we've had something like this in a previous box. So this color and finish, but in a different size. I'm pretty sure they were smaller, whether they were 3 or 4mm or something. So obviously, if you get the boxes, then these will probably match them quite nicely when we had that previously. Always a lovely, and purple, can never go wrong with that for me. Iris is always a nice finish as well. And then we have 4mm, so size down, Czech glass pearls rainbow white. So white base that looks to then have kind of a hint of a rainbow color. I don't think it's actually showing up on camera that much, but it is in real life. It's subtle, like it's not a pure AB coating, but it is there. It's got like a rainbow sheen to it rather than just pure white, but I don't really think it's showing up on camera that much, but it is there. And to be honest, these two would actually go really nicely together, also because the whites do have that similar coating. And then we have our rondelles, 2.5 by 4mm Czech glass rondelles, jet hematite. So it's got to be these ones here. I do love hematite finish, because I love hematite gemstones as well, so finish can never really go wrong with that. And some rondelle beads, a bit different than just getting rounds all the time. And this colour and finish, in my opinion, pretty much goes with everything. Then 2mm tiny little beads, Czech glass pearls, teal. There's got to be these ones. Do love my tiny beads. Very bright, actually, these. Very, was it teal? Yeah, teal. I'm going to say teal or turquoise. Very teal, very bright. And again, they have a bit of a sheen to them. And they could easily go with the white ones. And you could probably also bring in the purple ones and it would still go nicely. So mixing several of these beads together. Then we have, by the looks of it, again some rondelles, 4 by 6mm, Czech glass rondelles, Siam travertine. It's got to be these ones here with the Siam. These are actually quite nice, so they're a bit larger than the other ones, so 4 by 6mm. So that means obviously the wide side it's 6mm and then the narrow way it's for. Quite a nice size. I do like this colour as well, like a dark red. Really lovely. Wonder what the holes are like actually. Ooh, they seem pretty sizable. That's nice. And have more rondelles by the looks of it. There's quite a few rondelles in this one. Usually we get more rounds and drops and that, but it's actually quite nice with a different shape. So these are 3 by 5mm, again a different size. So all 3 are different sizes, which again is actually quite nice instead of just being the same size, all of them. Gives just more options. Czech glass rondelles royal purple. Purple. Actually, are they are, well, obviously the size is slightly smaller, but they are otherwise very similar shape-wise in how they are made. And then obviously just a purple colour. Got some clarity to it. Lovely sparkle there. Quite like them. And the last ones we have 6 by 10mm Czech glass drops. So we do have some drops here. Gold acid wash. So quite what I would say it's got an antique gold look to it. And drops are always very useful. I find you can do so many different things with them. So those are the strands in the actual box. A nice little selection here. Several different, obviously all the different colours, but also different shapes actually. So moving on to the additional items. Again, starting from the top. And first we have some 5 by 7mm Chinese crystal top drilled briolette drops, and these ones are crystal AB colour, so that sounds familiar. I'm pretty sure it was the previous box we had these, but in a different colour. I think they were purple or something, if I'm not mistaken. But it's these ones here. We get 4 of them. So again, like a drop shape. These are then briolette drops. So they basically have, instead of a rounded bottom, you could say, like a teardrop is known for, it's kind of pointed, but not as pointed at the top as at the top there. And you have the hole at the top of it. And they do have, yeah, an AB coating to add that extra sparkle. So these are lovely. Can never go wrong with something like this. Very elegant looking. Then 14mm Czech glass flower, red with copper wash, and you get 2. So I'm looking for 2 red with copper wash. These ones here then. Surely it's gotta be. So 2 flower beads. Definitely very much stands out because of the red base colour. And then that, it says copper wash. I personally actually feel it looks a bit more gold than copper. But regardless, the contrast between that wash and the base colour, the red one, is very strong, so it really makes the whole thing stand out nicely. They have 6 petals, so we're looking at the holes being between 2 petals, going all the way through to the other side, and they are double-sided as well, which we like. So we don't have to choose or be careful how we use them. Then there's 5mm Czech glass hexagon, matte gold, 8 pieces. So, wonder what we're looking for. 8 pieces, so I'm thinking it's got to be these ones here. Because hexagons, they have 6 sides, yep they do. Almost look a bit like some metal spacer beads, but they are Czech glass. It's obviously just the coating that gives them that metallic look, but they're kind of matte metallic. Quite large holes, so you can get a lot through there. So even though they are Czech glass, you still get that metallic feel from them. And then we get next a 14mm pewter abstract star, and there's 2. So abstract star, pewter. So this is some metal finding bead stuff. Let's see what it's like. Oh, this seems a bit unusual, this. Okay, so we have the star, And again, first of all, double-sided, both the same. You have a little texture on it, which is very nice. It almost makes it a bit like a sea star or something. But anyway, what we then have is what I thought was unusual. The hole, if we look on one side there, it's going through from this side below this point of the star, coming out on the other side below that point of the star. And it is very large, so it's almost a bit like a charm you can add to a really thick cord or chain. So that is very unusual. Or even if you made a kumihimo braid or something, and obviously made it thin enough, but because it's so large, that hole, you could definitely make a kumihimo braid to fit through there. So they're pretty cute, and then basically use them as little charms on a braid or something. Then we have, by the looks of it, some more metal, 16 by 26 millimeter pewter rectangle, copper or silver finish. So either one or the other in different boxes. You get one. This looks to be the copper one. So it is literally a rectangle here. Wonder if it's literally just a rectangle or if there's any holes or anything. Doesn't look like it. Nope. So you basically have a rectangle here where obviously there's a big hole in the middle. And you can use, it's almost like a frame, you can use that to work off of somehow. Or obviously do something inside of the frame. Whether it's wire work or macrame as well, you can attach easily. So that's definitely different. I definitely see it as almost like a bit of a frame. Make a little motif or something to fit inside of it and then attach it. Then we had 12mm Czech glass Swirl Button, crystal Maria. So Swirl Button, it's gotta be this one. I think it's the only button I see. Looks very different. So I think I get the swirl part of it. That looks to be the design on the button there. So instead of just having it be plain or something, it actually has like a swirl effect. And it's also kind of multicolored there. Very interesting. In the back it's like this. A shank button with a hole. Seems like a decent size. Not very large, but an okay size hole. So that can be used for a clasp or something quite easily. Make a loop and then use this as the button. Then we have 14 by 16mm bamboo coral, pink, 2 pieces. So bamboo coral. So 2 beads here. Seems interesting. Wow, definitely have a different feel to them. And also sound, sometimes you can hear things, different sounds when it's different materials. So very natural looking. Obviously they're both different from each other. They're not like exactly the same beads or anything. So a very delicate, where was it? Pink or coral colour. A coral pink I would say. That you really notice on the sides. And then you have that hole, which is quite small. I think it usually is on these kinds of beads. So definitely something a bit unusual. And then getting towards the bottom, we have, where were we? 42mm vintage resin bead. That sounds interesting. Colour and design varies. Alright, so different boxes will have different colours and designs. So that is interesting. This one here must be this one. Especially the size 42. Quite large. I don't really see what else it would be than this. So let's have a look. It definitely looks very interesting. So it's basically, it is a bead. So you look here on one end, there's a hole, and actually that seems pretty sizable. Goes all the way through to the other end. Oh wow. I didn't even see that, because this side of what was facing out in the bag is kind of just pink. And here we actually get some purple. That is lovely. I like that. That it's the purple just mixed in, and both sides are so different, especially because obviously one side then has an extra color, you could say. I almost feel like you need to make something where this could dangle and easily flop from side to side instead of just having a front and a back kind of, because I think both sides are actually quite nice in their own right. And it's got this kind of, imagine if it was flat piece and then it's kind of been held in certain parts and then kind of pushed a little bit and twisted, and you can see that's made this, the edge kind of almost ruffly. So very different this, that's for sure. Haven't seen anything quite like this before. And then we're getting to 6mm pewter spacers, antique brass. So again, some metal pieces. So basically some metal spacers here, because you have, it's basically, it is kind of obviously a bead, but it's very flat. But then you kind of have a ring in the middle where you then have little balls attached all the way around with the hole in the middle pretty large again. And then when you add that, most of the time it's then would be sandwiched maybe in between something. And this is then what you can see. So it adds a little bit of that metallic touch to a piece. And that will kind of be going all the way around. So quite small, but they could still give an impact to a piece. And then finally on this list here we have 7-inch Czech glass beaded chain. We actually had chain, I don't remember if it was the last box or maybe the box before that. That was the first time I'd seen that kind of a pre-made chain, but it was some different beads. These are mint opal colors. So basically a pre-made chain here, instead of having to, maybe they provide the beads and do it ourselves. You can see just a basic wrap loop beaded chain. Very lovely. And they're actually, it's not just the same bead. First of all, the different shapes and sizes, but also the colors is not just then say the same color but in different shapes and sizes. The different colors and tones of everything, which makes it more interesting, I think, almost. So 7 inches. So this is basically a ready-made. You can literally attach a clasp to the ends and you have a ready-made bracelet. So that is pretty cute. I do like the mix of those colors and tones together. Quite summery because it's almost very fresh and breezy and summer breeze, oceany. I think that's kind of the feel I'm getting from these colors. So definitely very fitting for the time. And then finally we have on the bottom here a bonus item, which is what I did see. You couldn't really not see it, but we have soft flex beading wire, fine. And this is something I noticed, and I have not personally seen this in any previous boxes, anything like this, any wire or thread or anything like that. So we basically get a little reel, which in itself is pretty cute, of soft flex beading wire. So it is basically a bunch of thin strands of wire twisted or braided together and then usually coated. So it's not wire you can make wire work with, but it's kind of to string beads onto and things like that, and it's usually very strong. And it's a nice silver or silvery color, which is my personal preference for us to choose. And what do we have? It says the diameter of the length is 10 feet, so about just over 3 meters it says on this reel. It's actually not too bad. And obviously you can use this in combination with a lot of the beads that come inside the box and the bag. So I actually think this is a nice addition to this box. I haven't seen that in either of the boxes before. So that's very nice, especially if you don't have that many materials yourself and you're kind of using these boxes to maybe get into jewelry making. This is a nice little extra, something else to play around with. So this is all the contents from the box and the bag here. And there's definitely some interesting and more unusual things this time around. For instance, like that bead there is definitely unusual in my opinion. Very different than anything I've seen in these before. And those stars as well I'm very intrigued by, because stars themselves in metal beads aren't really unusual, but the way the hole is made in these beads here is very different than anything I've seen. And obviously also very interesting that you're getting this beading wire. So I will be honest, right now I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to be doing with these materials here, but I'm just going to see about sitting down with them a little bit, try and play around with some ideas, and then see what I can come up with. So if you want to see what I end up making, make sure to stay tuned. So a little bit of time has now passed for me, and I've managed to make some jewellery, and obviously I thought I would just show you it. Now, instead of just going straight into the piece of jewellery, I think I'm just going to show you what I actually ended up using first of all. I can't actually show you most of the materials because I used most of them, so I'm just going to show you on the list here. The first thing I decided I wanted to use was that large resin bead, and that was the one that was kind of wavy and pinkish and purpley. And I wanted that to be the focal piece. Now, because it's something I normally wouldn't use, I kind of thought I wanted to try and use it in this case and make something different than I normally do as well. And because of that, I then also decided I wanted to use the beading wire. Now, I have used beading wire before, but I don't really do a lot of stringing of beads. So I kind of thought I wanted to do something along those lines with that large resin bead as the focal bead. And then I also used all these beads up here. So the purple 6mm rounds, the white 4mm rounds, those jet hematite rondelles, the teal tiny little 2mm beads, and then also the royal purple rondelles as well. So I used a mix of a lot of these strands, the beads here, and I used most of them up, so I only have a few left. And basically I mixed all of these beads and materials into only one piece. And it's ended up looking like this. So as you can see, using that large resin bead as the focal piece, and because both sides are nice on the bead, it doesn't matter if it flips around while wearing it. Obviously, personally, this is my favorite side because it's got the purple, but like I said, it doesn't really matter. And then I just kind of put these two beads on the bottom to act as stopper beads, and obviously I've got the beading wire coming through. You can just slightly see it there, and then also all the way up, that's where I basically mixed all the rest of the beads. And I did do a bit of a pattern to it instead of just having them be random, but that's just me. I kind of prefer that. I struggle a little bit being too random and organic with things. And then of course I just used some of my own findings here to finish off the necklace. But I ended up basically making a beaded strung necklace like this. And I'm actually quite happy with how it turned out. It's got a really nice feel and look to it, I think. And I think all of these beads do actually go really well with this large resin bead, because it does have a little bit of purple in it. It just kind of makes it work really well. And then that touch of teal in the beads just breaks it up a little bit and adds a different pop of colour as well. So I'm quite happy with how this turned out. And just to show you what I have left. So obviously the resin bead there was only one, so I used that one. But as for the rest of the beads, I have those jet hematite rondelles, I only have one left. The purple rondelles, I also only have one left. And the little tiny 2mm teal rounds, that's what I have left of them. And the rest of them, I used every single bead up. And these are the only beads that I have left. And obviously, that resin bead I used as well. And, of course, we can't forget to mention, I used that beading wire, the soft flex. And I do just want to talk a little bit about this, because I have used beading wire before, but obviously different kinds, different beading wire will be slightly different from each other. But I've never used this specific beading wire, so the soft flex beading wire. And I will say I actually really liked this. Now, just to show you what I've worked with before. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit hard to get an impression of on camera, but this is just in a different colour. But something like this, and this, and it's perfectly fine beading wire, but this is what I'm kind of used to, what I've worked with. Like I said, I've not done loads of this kind of thing, but when I have worked with it, it's been something like this, and I've always found it to be quite stiff, to be honest, and fine to work with, obviously strong, but fairly stiff. Now, when I used this, that came in the box, I was very surprised because I was expecting what I was used to, but what actually happened was, if I could just get a little bit out, this completely took me by surprise. Because obviously I'm assuming it's kind of the same principle of how it's made, but there's just something different about it than what I'm used to. it's just, maybe try and just get one a little bit next to it, just to kind of see if it can give an impression of the movement of it. So this is quite stiff, and this is just really soft. It just feels really smooth and soft, much more compared to what I'm used to. Obviously it's called soft, like, so it's purposely made like that, but I'm just not used to that. I've not experienced that before. And it just didn't feel like the beading wire that I'm used to working with, so I was really impressed with this. And actually I found that you could even, if you're familiar with when you've got ribbons, you're wrapping presents, you can pull scissors on them and kind of make it twirl or twist. You can actually do that with this. Put curves into it, kind of make it, give it that ribbon feel. It happened kind of by accident that I did it, and I was like, whoa, that's responsive to that, which I've never experienced with any of the other ones before, but it's just really soft and nice to work with, yet still strong. So personally, I will highly recommend this if you're looking for beading wire. I will definitely would want to use this again if I ever need beading wire for something else in the future, that's for sure. But yeah, enough about the beading wire. This is what I ended up making. So I'm quite happy with how it turned out. And I like all these beads and colours together. Now I probably wouldn't have chosen them myself if it wasn't for the fact of them being in the box together. So I'm quite happy with that. I like how it turned out. And I hope you like it as well, and you liked the video and enjoyed watching it. But like I said, this is going to be my last one, at least for now, because I've got a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. So thank you so much to Dollar Bead Box for sending me this and all the other boxes and bags they've been sending me for a while. I've really enjoyed it, and also trying new things and experimenting and coming up with designs I'm positive I wouldn't have come up with otherwise if it wasn't for getting these boxes here. So thank you so much for that. And of course, if you're interested in looking into it yourself, I'm going to leave all the information you need in the description box down below the video. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.